Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. It's May 29th. God, it's hard to believe we're 5 months over for the year. Very glad you're with us this morning. Please note this event is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called I started facilitating the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. This group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the prior leader landed a job. In 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched careerusa.org to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon. If you see me in person, I always have copies with me. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, also known as the PIT crew, and you'll hear more about them in just a few minutes. Our agenda this morning, I like to start the meeting off with success stories. Then we'll go do 30-second introductions for those who are here in the room, and then we'll do the 30-second introductions for everybody who is online with us this morning. Then we'll hear from the Interview Success Workshop, the practice interview team, the career tip of the week, and then our main event, Walt Glass, about the top of the hour. Well, we like to start the meeting off with good news. Donuts have arrived, so come on up and tell us your good news.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Marty Upton. I have accepted a position as the manager of security and compliance for Qualified Healthcare out of California. It's an AI healthcare startup. So big jump for me. Really excited. Started on June 16th and found the opportunity through networking. Through a former coworker. So, hit your resources, hit your networks. And I will say, don't lose hope on the process. I thought I bombed the second interview by answering a question and getting kind of wrapped up in the answer rather than going through and saying, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll get back to you. And they still liked me enough to bring me in at a different title, but compensation wise, everything worked out the way it needed to be. So good company to work for. If you see anything on their job board, let me know. Qualified Healthcare.
And what's the name of the company?
Qualified Healthcare. No, I don't. It's remote. Yeah.
And how long was it from when you first heard about it till now?
When I first heard about it was in March, late March, and I've been in transition since December 15th. It took a little bit of time through the holidays before getting started, and this is the second time coming through this great program along with the pit crew and all the others here in the area. So use those resources.
Great. And so what one thing would you advise other job seekers to do?
Just stay consistent, continue to network and meet new people. You never know if it's going to be a former colleague or somebody you bump into at a restaurant that might give you your next opportunity. So,
okay. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations. Anybody else have good news? Chat box. Give us your name, the position you're looking for. Give us a couple target companies we may be able to help you with. If you have companies that you have connections, let us know who those are. And give us your email, your LinkedIn address, your phone, city, if you'd like, so we can know all about you. So I'll put 30 seconds on the clock to get started. right. If you're still typing, please continue to type away because we like to have your contact information. We'll get all that out to everybody who's in the meeting tomorrow. All right, it's time to do 30-second introductions for everybody who's here in the room. Come on down, grab the mic, and we'll do 30-second introductions here in the room first. Go on.
Good morning.
Nope, you turn on the mic. Nope. Green light.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tim Farrell. I'm an electrical design verification engineer. I write computer programs and hardware description languages that make sure that computer circuit designs are error-free before the big money is spent to put them into silicon. This week, I could use contacts at Texas Instruments, Global Foundries, and Microchip Technologies. I have contacts at Raytheon, and my name is Tim Farrell.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Polly Dunn, Senior Administrative Assistant. I'm transitioning into office management, and my strong points are office organization, onboarding, team support, and what I've done this week is I've networked into 3 companies using Ruth Lipsky's advice. And then I did the applications, so I'm waiting on those. So my name is Polly Dunn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Eric Nowak. I'm a senior program and project manager. I drive bottom line results by finding the truth in the data. I'm looking for, or I have experience in ERP and ERP adjacent and data analytics. And my name is Eric Nowak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, folks. My name is Fabian Broncano, Director, Manager of Network Infrastructure. I lead large multi-site organizations, modernizing their networks and systems to keep businesses running smoothly and securely. My target companies are co-location facilities, Equinix, CyrusOne, and Digital Realty. And once again, my name is Fabian Broncano.
Thank you.
Howdy, I'm Cale Dingman. I am an antenna control systems engineer or a systems engineer. I'm looking for contacts at Kratos or AVL or Airbus. I have contacts at General Dynamics and CPI and Vertex RSI. And again, my name is Cale Dingman.
Thank you.
Go again. My name is Marty Upton. I am the new manager of security and compliance at Qualified Healthcare. I have contacts at Heritage Health Solutions here locally, as well as Essen Healthcare in the New York area. They sometimes do remote positions, so feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and I've got lots of vendors and stuff through all my IT contacts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jason Rice. I've been told by my career coach that I am a technology transformation leader, but I'm actually a senior software engineering manager. I generally live in the real-time interactive graphics world, from flight simulators to a couple of mission franchise console games, interactive planetariums, and other lots of very strange things. I don't have any specific targets this week, but I love meeting new people, so scream at me.
Thank you.
Tell them your name again.
Jason Rice. Sorry about that, guys. I'm bad at this so far. Thank you.
He'll get his rhythm back someday. Hi, I'm Phil Ilsner. I'm a PMP credentialed project manager. I love putting projects together and making sure things happen. My degrees are biomedical sciences, and most of my experience has been in communications and in IT. I'm Phil Ilsner.
Thank you.
Hey, John Hamer, Senior Technical Project Manager. I lead internal and external teams to deliver solutions and systems that optimize companies' investments in technology. My target companies are Motorola keeps looking for me, and they keep posting the same job, but anyway, Motorola RTX, and locally, if there's local Raytheon office. My name is John Hamer.
Great. Thank you very much. All right. Yep, just push it up or down. It'll turn it off. There we go. All right, let's go to everybody who's online. If you will, please raise your hand so I know to call on you. So, William, we'll let you go first.
Good morning, everybody. My name is William McLaughlin, currently seeking a business analyst role. And two of my target companies are Cinemark and Dave and Buster's. And next thing I'm going to say is that everyone that is having trouble or finds salary negotiation to be a challenge, that topic is being covered at Frisco Connect this coming Tuesday by a retired HR professional. So make sure you are there for that if that is you. You can sign up online, which is highly recommended, at friscoconnect.org. Hope to see you there. Again, my name is William McLaughlin. Thank you very much and happy Friday.
Thank you very much. Enoch.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Enoch Fataplace. I'm a senior software engineer specializing in Android development. I connect you to your clients through their Android devices using the latest Android technologies, including Kotlin Compose, Jetpack, and AI tools. My name is Enoch Fataplace. Currently, my target companies are those who will allow for remote because I'm not close to the DFW area. Once again, my name's Enoch Fataplace.
Thank you. Scott.
Good morning, everybody. Scott Boutreau, Certified Planning Inventory Management, looking for a supply chain job specializing in inventory control or production planning. I'm looking in New Jersey, centrally or remote. Scott Boutreau.
Thank you very much. Mark.
My name is Mark Handy. I optimize customer relationships through intelligent technology. Currently seeking Salesforce platform lead and business system analyst roles. I'm in Denison, Texas, and I'm looking at remote or hybrid roles in the North DFW metro area. Currently targeting Salesforce CRM partners or B2B tech companies, and actually the other one is Southwest. I have contacts at the Freeman Company, and let's connect. Thanks. My name is Mark Handy.
Thank you. Sheldon.
Good morning, everybody. Sheldon Weinstein, and I'm currently based in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm a food and beverage executive. I lead customer sales teams that help food and beverage brands win at retailer, and I've partnered with retailers such as Kroger, Walmart, and Target. And I'm exploring director to VP sales leadership roles at mid-market food or beverage companies in that $200 million to $2 billion range. And what sets me apart is the and. I've led customer teams and driven business development at both global companies like Nestle, Starbucks, and Campbell's, and at private equity and family-owned businesses where I've had to build a playbook. I know how to operate with infrastructure and without it. And again, Sheldon Weinstein, looking forward to connecting.
Thank you. Patricia.
Hi, my name is Patricia Gullidge. I'm an HR professional. I'm looking for HR business partner, manager, or generalist position. Target companies, I've actually have a phone call at 11:15 today with Milliman for just a contract job for 1 or 2 months cleaning up a 401k. Monday, my dream job would be, I think, American Heart Association. So I've got a first call Monday afternoon with them. Got kind of an in, so I'm hoping that that works out. If not, other target companies are Stride Care, that's a vascular surgeon place in Addison, and the other is Hunter Troy Cabinets. My name is Patricia Gullidge, HR professional, and I'm very happy to connect.
Thank you. Sergio.
Hi, my name is Sergio Campos. I'm a cloud systems administrator. I manage, provision, and support Cisco Global Platforms, Windows Server hybrid environments. Looking to continue to work with a broad range of technologies and network infrastructure. I'm Sergio Campos.
Thank you. Janet.
My name is Janet Young, and I am in Grapevine, and I am looking for a administrative assistant type role, and I create order so that teams can thrive. And I am looking for a contact at Public Storage in Frisco, or also a contact in Westlake at Landmark Structures. And I have contacts at Southwest Airlines, and that's it for now. Sorry, my name is Janet Young.
Thank you. Sarah.
Hi, sorry, Jeff, did you call my name?
Go ahead.
Hi, this is Sapna Shah. I'm an IT project manager. I'm currently seeking an IT project manager or assistant project manager or project coordinator role in the government spaces like City of Plano, City of Frisco, City of Allen, City of Richardson. My name is Sapna Shah.
Thank you. Rosina.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. My name is Rosina Gallman, and I am your Career Tip of the Week host, so I'll be back shortly. I'm looking for a position as a Senior Talent Acquisition Business Partner, Senior Recruiter, HR Generalist, or HR Specialist position. I don't need contacts this week, and then I have contacts at a variety of different companies, so as we connect, let me know who you may need introductions to. Again, my name is Rosina Gallman, Senior Talent Acquisition Business Partner, Senior Recruiter, HR Generalist, or HR Specialist position. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Anybody else online who I haven't called on yet?
Morning, this is
Hi,
Amy.
my name is Rahim Majid. I'm a project program manager, and I am specialist in digital transformation. And I'm not. I'm looking for some contact in Southwest Airlines, and I have contacts in Verizon and Accenture. And someone earlier asked has interest in government sector, so I need to tell that City of Richardson is accepting application for a temporary project manager position if she want to go there. My name is Rahim Majid.
Thank you. Aggie.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Aggie Namakovacic, and I'm a senior product manager with experience in CPG, retail, e-commerce, grocery, and food and beverage. I am looking for a senior product manager position that is either hybrid within the Chicagoland area or remote. And my target companies for this week are Fabletics, Feastables, and Thorn. I'm happy to connect and help everybody out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else online? Andre, go ahead.
Well, I guess I shouldn't be telling people I'm a technologist. Anyway, my name is Andre Stephen, and I'm a technical consultant. Well, a technical selling strategist more than anything. I kind of lean between technology and business, and I can act as an overlay or a serious, a professional sales guy in the technology arena, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a role that either I do direct sales in a district or region, or help sales reps navigate through technical aspects and help them close. Anyway, my name is Andre Stephen, and I'm a little under the weather today, guys. That's why I'm online. I'm sorry I wasn't at the event.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else online? Last chance.
I'll go next. I'm Melanie Williams. I'm in the Cincinnati, Ohio market, and I am looking for a position in market research, consumer insights as either a director, associate director, or senior manager. For those who don't know what consumer insights is, it's basically conducting voice of customer research to so that companies can make strategic decisions based off of the voice of customer. My primary markets are Cincinnati, Dayton, Ohio market, as well as Columbus, Ohio market, and preferably in retail or consumer packaged goods. And a differentiating skill of mine is building a consumer insights function and embedding a customer-centric culture in companies. And I'm also looking for, and this is on behalf of a student who just graduated from college who's a civil engineer. If there's anybody on this call who has connections at Lockheed Martin or Arup, spelled A-R-U-P, I'd love to get your contact information. I'm just looking for people who this student can have an informational interview with. And again, my name is Melanie Williams.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Going, gone. We'll move on. All right. We don't have any recruiters online today. So interview success workshop. Good morning, Walt.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friday to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. I am excited to tell you that one of the things that we want to pay attention to is the interview. And it's because the interview is what everything else leads to. And so the reason I focus on interviewing and job search is because we can do all the networking, we can do all the LinkedIn, we can do resumes, we can all that actions and activities and things that we do lead us to the interview. And so I'm a panelist on the pit crew, and I'm sure Jeff will talk about that next. But I offer the interview success workshop, which is a very informal learning interview process. It's not a mock interview, it's a learning interview. And I am pushing the I do, I help model, which is we are hired for who we are, what we do, and how we can make a difference there and how we can help. So we don't just do project management, we do project management for the value and the result that occurs. So how do we do that? And so that's what the workshop is about. Look me up on LinkedIn under the About section. It gives you some information about that, how to register. My Yahoo email address is on my banner page. Send me that note and just say, hey, Walt, I'd like to register. You have to fill in a couple of blanks on the email that QR code will start for you if you want to use that to get in touch with me. Be glad to have you participate. It's on Zoom. I usually do it on 9 to 11 Central Time on Zoom. Okay. Spending all day applying on the laptop is not necessarily the best way to job shop. So register for the Interview Success Workshop. It will put us on the job list at the top. I am Walt Class.
Thank you very much, Walt. Thank you. Thank you. Anthony, you want to come up, give your 30-second introduction and talk about the practice interview team? Anthony was our door holder this morning.
Anthony, you can put that door stuff on your resume now.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Archery, Senior Retail Operations Merchandiser. Worked for Walmart for 16 and a half years. I do have contacts at Walmart and as well as Sally Beauty Supplies. Anthony Archery. Guys, a great opportunity is the pit crew. You have the opportunity to learn and grow and develop your interviewing skills. We meet every Wednesday, the first, second, and third, and fifth Wednesday of each month. On the fourth Wednesday, we meet online only. The time is 1 to 3. All you have to do, look at the email address, dallatpitcrew@gmail.com. Send your job description and resume there, and Ron would contact you with this schedule. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Their motto is practice early, practice often. So you definitely, it's a unique experience if you haven't done it yet. All right, time for to hear the career tip of the week. Good morning, Rosina.
Good morning again, Jeff, and good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. All right. Well, this week's tip of the week. Let's start with. All right, so last week I brought you the Career Tip of the Week article titled Every Profession Smarter with AI Tools. This article last week, I said, focused on different professions and some AI tools to simplify your work and boost efficiency. Well, today I bring you an example of a finance leader who has used 4 specific AI tools to showcase efficiency and make an impact on his productivity so that he can enjoy his life and the time saved. As you are in job search, look for ways to reduce time on regular tasks in your job and industry so that you can land your next job opportunity and make an immediate impact to learn, excuse me, immediate impact to the team, department, and company. So the article is coming from LinkedIn, and the gentleman's name is Bhaskar Kumar Shroff. And his title is I'm a CFO and finance consultant who cut 12 plus hours a week using AI. Now, nobody taught him to do this in business school. So here's what changed. Before AI, he did client reports, which took 4 hours each, market research, 3 hours a week, email back and forth, 2+ hours daily, and then Sunday nights, he was still working. After AI, reports are 45 minutes, research was 20 minutes, emails drafted in 10 minutes, and Sundays were his again. So the 4 tools that he used, Claude, reports, used Claude for reports and deep analysis, ChatGPT for research synthesis, Gemini for email drafting, and Perplexity for real-time market data. As his article writes, you don't need to be a tech expert. You just need to start and build your own stack. And if you're a business leader and still doing this manually, this post is just for you. So again, as mentioned, he used 4 specific tools. So for Claude, he used Claude for reports and deep analysis. So the reports were written within 45 minutes flat, deep analysis of complex data and rough notes into polished decks. The second tool that he used was ChatGPT. He said that the research was done in 20 minutes, and basically industry trends were summarized fast, competitor intel before meetings, and then complex briefings in seconds. The third tool he used was Gemini for email drafting, and he did that in about 10 minutes. He had client proposals written fast, follow-ups that got replies, and then complex ideas were made simple. So again, the truth of the matter is you don't need to be a tech expert. You just need to be curious, you need to be consistent, and you need to start today. And the AI advantage belongs to those who act, not to those who wait. So feel free to take a look at this article that Jeff will distribute tomorrow. And I hope you guys find some opportunities to find reductions in time using AI for the tasks that you typically would do in your job, so that once you do land, you'll be able to make an immediate impact to the team, department, and company. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody.
Thank you very much. All right. Today for lunch, we're going to go to Mama's Pizza, 2130 West Parker Road in Plano. It's on Parker, about a half block west of Custer. So if you've gotten to Custer, you've gone a little bit too far. So come join us. They have a pizza buffet, pasta, a big salad bar, and hot cinnamon rolls, which are delicious if you grab them just as you come, just as they bring out a new tray of them. So come join us today for lunch. All right. If you want to receive today's materials, you'll get a copy of the speaker's presentation with a couple other attachments that he's sent me. You'll get a link to the YouTube video. That's the video when it gets uploaded tomorrow. You'll get a copy of the career tip of the week that Rosina just read, along with a copy of the Zoom chat. To make sure you've got it for everybody who's here in person, make sure you've signed in. And if you're new, if you fill out a little slip of paper and as long as it's legible, I will get you added. For everybody who's online, please include your email address so that I know you're here. Last week we've had two people, George Armstrong and Wes Riggs, who didn't give us anything. We know you were here, but you didn't tell us anything in the contact list, so I don't have you added. So please be sure your contact information is in the chat for everybody who's online. All right, time for our speaker. We all know Walt. He's been helping job seekers for many, many years, and he's going to talk about the fundamentals of job interviews. So let me give him my microphone.
On the road again. Well, here I am talking again about interviewing, but today this is a new presentation. This is something different than I've given in the past. If it works, it's a implementation, and if it doesn't, it's a pilot. So today I'm going to talk about really some fundamentals. So today, if you were to take an interviewing class, this would be interviewing 101. The interview success workshop would be interviewing 201. The pit crew observing would be 301. And then being a candidate with the pit crew would be 401. So I suggest you take all of those opportunities and advantages to do that. So we're going to take this morning just to talk about some fundamentals. So I'm going to talk about the fundamentals. So we're down really at 101. We're down in the weeds. We're down to say, okay, let's go analytical. Let's go down to the bottom and say, how do we think? How do we approach? How do we do these things? And so we're going to get into those particular items. So the results of this is, we are unique. And if we can sell ourselves, since we're all different, then if we sell ourselves, we will be differentiating ourselves. We want to do it in a very positive manner. So I speak from ideas and suggestions. I'm one of 1,000 voices about interviewing. Everybody has an opinion about what to do and what they think they should do. So I would just say, here, let me start my video here. I can't see wait a minute. There we go. Oh, there I am. I'll be walking around a little bit today. But I don't like to tell people I do like to tell people what to do, but I figured out that it doesn't work very well. Okay. And so I suggest things. And so you will hear some things and you may pick out 3 or 4 nuggets or something that would help you. Some of it you may be already doing and whatever. But so these are come from that. So think of these as if you were the interviewer, and how would this approach or how would this idea go with an interviewer? How many people have hired people before? Okay, so about everyone in the room has been in the hiring mode, so you know what I'm talking about on that end. If you have a question, just go ahead and let Jeff know in the chat window if you're online, or raise your hand here. And there may be some time to discuss some other questions that you might have about interviewing questions themselves. I will probably cover several of them. Now, the ones that I'm choosing are samples. They're not, it's not the end all. This is not the total result. This is not a 400-page document that covers everything about it. And you can go out there on chat or any of the AI tools and find out what AI says about what you should do. So let's talk a little bit about preparing. So we want to have some preparation. So I just hit these topics. I'm not going to talk about them, but these are things that we want to know before we go in. If we don't have this kind of understanding and knowledge, then how are we going to interview successfully? We want to have some of that knowledge prepared in advance and some content so we can understand. And I'll have a couple of tips on that as we go through. But even the last one, have you got your questions list prepared? What do we need to know in order to go to work there? And how do we get those questions involved, throughout the interview? Are they prioritized? Okay. work. So what are we selling? Okay, I always start out with this. I already talked about it in my introduction of the I am, I do, I help. A lot of resumes are I do. A lot of interviews are I do. This first interview lots of times is a screening interview. It's not even an interview. It's just, can you do this? Can you do this? Okay, looks like you can do the job. Come on in. We'll talk some more. And so those are important for sure. But a lot of the I help is omitted. It's omitted in the resumes, and it's also omitted on LinkedIn, and it's omitted during the interview. So a lot of emphasis in the workshop is to say, how can we sell that I help as well as the other two? So we generally start with a job description because we want to have a target for that interview. So what does the job description tell us? Snoopy is my mentor. So you take a job description and you kind of analyze it and you pull all the characteristics in red. You can put I do's in a color. You can put I helps in a yellow so you can see how you go through this. Okay, so I got my list of I ams, I do, and I help. And you can take multiple job descriptions for the job, throw them in there, pull all of those out so you can see what are the most common, what's the top priority, what's the ones that seem to be the most important. And then there's some culture indicators, like fosters a team environment of shared ownership. So fostering an environment, that's a culture item. And there can be plenty of those. Everything has to be verified. Everything has to be validated. Validated, that's my word for verified and validated. As you go in, because we can't depend on job descriptions, but there's certainly definitely a starting point for us. So here are some requirements, and here's the interpretation of the requirement. Okay, so I'm going to talk a few things on introductory. We're going to handle three really phases of this. There's a beginning, middle, and end to an interview. The beginning is our greeting and our first question. The greeting is part A, and the answer to the first question is part B. And we always want to set a very positive idea to our interviewers to say, we will continue to look like a positive candidate for this role. We don't want to do things that are negative. So we want to be very positive with that and set that tone. And then there's the middle, and we're going to get lots of questions in the middle, and we might ask some questions as well. And for those questions, we're going to look at what's the motive behind this category of questions, because I'll pick some categories and I'll pick some questions out of the categories. So what's the motive for that question? What are our approaches, our options that we might use in responding to that question? How we might respond. And I want to get some input and something. I don't want to just stand here and talk to you this morning. I'd like you to participate as well. Jeff, if you'll watch for people hands up and stuff or comments in the chat window, I'd appreciate it. I'm multitasking right now. I'm looking at you and talking. And so that's the two things I'm focusing on. And then the last one is closing the sale. This is probably one of the weakest parts of interviewing is we don't close the deal. Since we're in a selling situation and we're in a sales cycle, you may not know all the steps of the sales cycle, but most of us know that the last part is how to close the sale, okay? And so this car salesman doesn't come up to us and say, well, I was showing you the car. I hope you like it. I'll be in my office. And if you want anything else further, just let me know. No, they just keep pushing. Well, would you buy the car if the payment was this? And they just keep going on and on and on. And it's that process of removing rejections until finally there are no no's left, and now you buy. So how do we close that sale? So when I ask people, and greet people, what do I hear most of the time? Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. How many of you use that? Is there anything wrong with that? No, there really isn't anything wrong, but we're missing the opportunity to start selling. We want to start selling right away. What's the first thing they judge us by? How we look on TV. So our background, our appearance, is there a ceiling fan in the work? And I do another session just on video interviewing. It's just on the video part, not on the interview itself, so that how we can be good with that. Plus, we're going to be on TV a lot in our job. A lot of work now is going to be done online, and we're going to be doing it through team applications and things. And so this is how they see us at the interview, which is going to then apply how we do it at work. So everything we do there is going to say, this is how you do it at work as well. So that's important. All right. So here's a suggestion for you. And everything has to be authentic and real. I don't like fake it till you make it, because if I fake it and I make it, then I got to fake it every day at work. And that's not going to last very long. If they don't want us for who we are, what we do, and how we can help, that's fine. We'll go on to the next one. It's just not a match or whatever. But being authentic. So are you genuinely excited? What are you thinking when you go into the interview? Are you really looking forward to the interview? Are you at the point where you're saying, I'm excited to be here and I'm looking forward to having a discussion with you about the job. I think I can make a significant contribution to the team. Did you hear who I do, and I help in that sentence? I want to make a significant, okay. But it has to be authentic. If we're thinking and feeling positively, energetically, or very interested in the interview itself, we will show that. So we don't want to major in the minors. Okay, both feet on the floor and look, smile. If we're feeling those things, then that's going to follow through. So those are important to do when you do. So whatever you do, maybe, before the interview, you say, I am awesome. Adopt the power position, whatever. So I'm awesome. I'm looking forward to this. I'm liking it, and that puts your mindset. It's still you, but you put you in this mindset that is different than those who are saying, please God, help me answer these questions, right? You've heard me say that probably before. I look forward to having a conversation with you about the job and the company, okay? I'll get rid of that. Just pop up for me, all right? And I look forward to making a significant contribution. I look forward to finding out. One person called me after he went through the workshop, and he called me, he had an interview. I said, okay, how'd it go? He said, well, it went pretty well. I said, but what happened? He says, well, I sat down and they said, why are you here? And he said, well, I'm here to find out how I can help you. And they just were so amazed by that sentence right there. They said, really? Nobody's ever said that. Nobody's coming here to look and see how I can. That alone separated him very positively right at the beginning, just with that saying, well, I want to find out how I can help you. And so it was a very simple sentence. And I don't want you to memorize these words. I'm not trying to tell you what to say. I'm trying to give you an idea of saying, just talk a little bit about how you're feeling, what you're thinking, and you can talk a little bit about who you are, a little bit about what you do, and a little bit about how you can help with that, okay? So here's the categories that I've selected out of the many. There's several. And I picked these not because you'll get these questions all the time or that they are learning opportunities for these types of questions. That's what they are. So I picked them for that reason. All right. Now, for every question, here's what we want to think about. First, we want to stop and think about the question itself. One person was asked, what do you know about Microsoft Azure? He started answering the question after the word Microsoft and answered what he liked about Microsoft. So he didn't listen to the question. So stop and listen to the question. Pause, breathe, think about what you're going to say, how you're going to answer it. I had a pit crew interview last week, and Latoya, I think Latoya was her name. She paused, not long, not a hard time, but she said, oh, and she used, that's a good question. That's used pretty often. It can be troubling. I hear it so much as an interviewer. Is it really a good question? What it means is I don't know the answer yet. I got to make some noise so I can think of an answer. So it's better just to say nothing. It's okay. And then you pause, you think, look away, whatever you do, You think about that, and then you can deliver a nice, clear, concise answer. So what? The question is, do I understand it? And if you don't know, if you really understand it, you've crossed the threshold to ask for clarification. All right? Do not think this is what I think they're asking and let me answer that, because you may be wrong. So clarify if you're not sure. What's the motive behind the question? Why are they asking this question? Why do interviewers ask this? What are they trying to achieve through the knowledge of what you're going to answer with that? Then, who's asking the question? Is it a recruiter? Is it your hiring manager? Is it a team interview? Is it the president? Is it the CEO? Well, who's at? Because they have a mindset. And so if I'm talking to sales, I get a mindset. I'm talking to operations, I'm talking to IT, talking to marketing. All those have different mindsets. And when I ask them, what can I do for you? They all have something different as to how I can do that. So, but who's asking the question? It also depends on where we are in the hiring process. What's often the first question you get from a recruiter on a phone call? Tell me about yourself. What else? Money. All right. What were you making in your last job? I mean, right now. So recruiters have this ability to look at numbers and determine whether we should quit or go forward. All right. I don't believe they're that smart. I don't believe they are. I think they make decisions. I mean, I've known people who was making $250,000 a year and they wanted an $85,000 a year job. They didn't want to do that anymore, but they wanted to work. They want to continue on, and they wanted to do this particular area. And so, well, I was making 250. Oh, well, click, there goes the phone. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And so in our response, we want to start with brevity and let them ask for more detail. So it's like 90 seconds timing, just about every question. That means we have to practice it because we can talk too long very easily. So we're going to then look at what is our strategy and approach to this particular category and to this question as an example. And then what are we going to deliver? How are we going to deliver it? Right? How it looks. If you're energized, I remember in a pit crew, we were talking with a candidate and somebody asked him a question about it. He said, oh, that was a fun one. And then he showed fun and smiling and how he did as he went through the event. And the three panelists all said that was the number one thing he did in the interview. That was the most positive thing that he did. So how we deliver that content is important. And is there a potential follow-up question that we might want to ask? Okay. So we're kind of going to go through these for these questions. So let's talk about icebreakers. This is the first question. They come across in several ways. Here's some example questions. Tell me about yourself is popular. You may not get that question. You may get, walk me through your resume. You may get some other things. But we want to give an opening statement. So the answer to tell me about yourself is our chance to give what we call opening statement. And I'd like to have a chance to give one. And if they ask you something differently than that, we could say, I'll be glad to answer that question. Would it be all right if I told you a little bit about myself first? So that's called redirecting. And what we want to do is I want to stay on your agenda, but I want to change your agenda. I don't want to just take over. So I don't want to say, well, let me tell you about myself first and then do that, because that's not what they may want to do. And so they can say yes or no, and then we can do the opening statement. Or if they say no, then we just go with the flow and go what they say, what they want to do. So so if you've never quit, why did you leave those last 14 jobs? What happened? All right. So what's the motive of tell me about yourself? What do you think? Why are we asking that for a candidate? You can jump online. You can jump in too. I need some help.
Career stability.
Well, when an employer asks you, tell me about yourself, they want they just want your pitch.
Okay.
They want to hear what you're about. They want to hear where you're from. They won't get down in the weeds with you, and you shouldn't get down in the weeds, right? Remember what you said. Your response should be less than 90 seconds.
Okay.
Right? So they're looking for your 10-second or 30-second pitch about who you are, where you're from, what do you do?
All right. Others? How do you frame your response?
How do you, oh, how you, they also want to see how you frame your response, how you communicate, how you express yourself. Are you thinking about it? Are you putting any thought behind your reasoning?
That pretty much covers it, does it not? I mean, they kind of want to know, tell me, who are you? Give me some idea. So they're looking at our communication skills. They're looking at how we speak, how we talk, how we communicate, right? They're looking at the expression on our face. Are we smiling? Are we happy? Are we, what's going on there? They're looking for something that's succinct. And the longer we talk, the quicker we lose the interviewer. So the guideline is start with brevity and let them talk and let them ask for more detail. So it's genuine interest in who you are and what you can do. All right. So there's not, well, who are you? And why, it's almost starting to answer the question, why should I hire you? Because I'm this person and I can help you do these things. They're also looking for reasons not to hire us. So a lot of people come in and they're not happy about being an interviewer. They were dragged out of the restroom to be on the panel. They don't know the job description. They don't know anything, and they're asking questions. And so they say, okay. And so if you do anything, if you don't put a period after the sentence on your resume, it goes in the trash. All right. We are held to higher standards than the rest of the world. Candidates always got to be better. I've been in the service industry for a long time, selling and delivering IT services. And the last 10 years, the job was with colleges and universities. So they're interested in how I can help them, what I can do for them, right? The approach is start with brevity, and we want to include in this response, I am, I do, and I help somewhere in that response. I want to sell all three. So it's kind of like, here's a question, what can I sell here? Can I sell I am? Can I sell I do? Can I sell I help? One of them, two of them, three of them, what is in there? So in the opening statement, we want to hit all three in there. Brevity, remember? So I'll call it the 90 seconds resume. And that's the next slide. But the question is, when you finish giving this, at the end, is you want to ask you, how can I help you? Anything that says, what can I do for you? There's many ways to do that. This is an example. I used to say there's two questions that I would like to ask. And so I've changed this. Okay, ask a double question. Ask them both in one sentence. So this is something. Now you can do, it can simply be, okay, what can I do for you? That can be the question. It doesn't have to be this that I've written out here. Who are you looking for? What kind of person will be successful in this role? So you can ask that. Or you can say, oh, well, I'm very interested in finding out, and then I've told you something about me. How can I help you? How can I make a difference here? And what kind of person are you looking for? What are the characteristics of a person to be successful in this role? Is a longer way to ask that. But you see what I'm talking about? I want to ask an I am question and an I help question right up front. Why? Because that's what I'm going to target in my responses. If you're looking for this, I'm going to say, oh, you're looking for a person whose characteristics A, B, C. That's not me. I've never done that, never had it. Not me. Bye. I mean, it doesn't match. So we're looking to see if it matches. We can start with a job description and say, oh, here's all the red things. I mean, I've done many interviews where I've asked, what are your strengths, what are your characteristics? And they list them, and I look at the job description, and none of what they said is on the job description. And what they should say is something that's on the job description, right? Does it match? Is it a match? Because you just told me when you listed those and none of them matched, you're not a match. Already, you're down. I see you negatively, and now I'm filtering why not to hire you for the rest of the interview, because you're not a match there. All right, so here's a suggested question. So here's my suggestion for an outline for how to tell me about yourself. one of the thousands of ways you can do this. All right. But I want to tell you in a sentence or two how I got into my career. Why am I a project manager? What is it about project management? Why do I do this job? What is it that excites me and energizes me about doing this type of work? Why am I in sales? Okay. My brother used to sell vacuum cleaners. And when he went into the house and gave him the turkey, they said, now we're just here for the turkey. And it just turned him on to say, they're going to buy it. And so he started finding out who's the decision maker. Is it the man? Is it the woman? Is it, who's there? And he went through the process and everything, to sell them. So anyway, just a sentence or two. When I was in college, took a summer job. In that summer job, I actually put what I was doing on a computer, and I got interested in IT, and I've been in it ever since. And I love focusing on customer service because my role is a customer service role in IT. I've been doing this since that was actually in 1964 when that happened. And so that's how I got into it. Just 1, 2 sentences, very, very short because we don't have much time. All right. Give me a couple of attributes that you have. Give me a couple of things that you do, and give me a couple of values that those, when you combine them, will help in a result. So with my attention to detail, my customer focus, whatever those things are that are highly important and relevant to this job in this particular role. And with my experience in A and B, developing, selling, whatever those two are, very highly relevant to the goal. Relevant. All right. And then helps me achieve this. And I can use a couple of generic goals. I can help you increase revenue, and help you turn customers around, whatever that is. But we want to follow that up with a specific result. For example, and then here's a specific R in a star story. So what is it in there that you do? And one that's very highly relevant, something that they would definitely want you to be able to do. You pulled it from the job description. You thought this was going to be the most important thing, so you mentioned that. All right. 1 sentence. That's all, 1 sentence with a follow-up of, for example, I did this. I don't tell a story. Some people say, tell a story. I'm not for that because it's too long. I don't know whether they want to hear a story or not. So I wait on it. You choose how you want to do it. And then I'm going to say, I left my last job because, and I'm going to be, a very short answer at a riff. And then I'm going to say, here's 2 reasons why I want this job. And here's 2 reasons why I want to work here. I'm going to answer, why do you want to work here? Very briefly, right up front, 1 or 2 sentences max, all right? This is why I love this job. And in there, it said, I love this job because I help what? I help improve the quality of life if I'm in the medical field. I help improve customer satisfaction if I'm in the services field. What do I help do? All right? And then, why do you want this company? So I interviewed a person, and she was interviewing for, it wasn't DraftKings, but it was one of the betting firms. And I said, why do you want to be a technician and a technical person in the betting world? How does that excite you? And she couldn't come up with a very good answer to it. So I really would rather have a person who's very interested in what we do, what we serve, what our products are, than have one who does not, right? I'm specifically interested in name of position. And now that I've told you about myself, now I go into those 3 questions. I better put this on or something, but it's too hard to do. So I ask something like 6 to 9 months out, because I like to say, okay, and I'm taking notes. Now, here's what you want me to do in the next 6 to 9 months. Okay, what do I need to pay attention to first? That could be a follow. Okay, this. All right, which one you want to talk about? We don't ask questions just to get information. We ask to start a discussion about it. And that has sometimes, there was a manager that came in late to a team interview, and they were in there talking about the needs, and they were answering the discussion, and he looked at the list of questions and just threw them away. I mean, they just took them off of their plan of how they were going to do the interview and went through this discussion back and forth about their needs. Okay? Why'd you leave your last job? Well, I kind of put that in the beginning. I left my last job because, but that brings me to why I'm here with you today. Very, very brief on why you left. Well, you think these are effective? This is the truth. You want to really know? Oh, yeah, I'm going to be open and honest with you. Okay. Me and the manager didn't get along. Okay. So I got fired. Well, there's ways to talk about that. We do some special counseling and consultation with you if you were fired, and it was a very difficult environment. And I talked with a person who the manager and another person conspired against this individual, gave them too much work, and said, we're going to fire you for lack of performance. Okay, let's tell that in an interview. So how do you handle that? So we'll have to talk about that a little bit. All right. It's not working. My clicker's not working. All right, we can't use those words, right? All right. So what's the motive behind leaving your last job? Why are they asking us that question? Anybody online want to jump in and tell me? Why would you ask it to a candidate?
To find out why they left. You're asking them to see how they handle it.
Okay.
See how they handle the pressure of that question.
All right.
I want to see how long you're going to stay here.
All right. How long you want to stay? Okay.
You also want to hear why their response about a past employer and their bosses.
Okay. What's going on there? Tim's looking for the microphone.
I mean, I would rather hire a person whose last job was riffed instead of someone who punched his boss.
Okay.
Why?
Why? Somebody said why. All right. So here's kind of a general motive. Did you leave for a good reason? That's the kind of, I'm looking at, were you in jail? What happened the last time? And particularly if you got a lot of jobs on your resume, I might ask you, why did you leave all of your last jobs? I want to know about those 14 jobs that you never quit. Right. So I may say, give me each one. Now, a quick recommendation on that. Well, at company A, I achieved this. At company B, I achieved this. At company C, I achieved this. And all of them were in the category of growing and out of the position or through a merger. I can categorize them and just summarize them. I don't want to spend a long time talking, well, here's job A, and here's job B, and here's job C, that. Because leaving is in the kind of the negative category. All right. If you say I was laid off, I don't know whether you were fired or whether you were riffed. So I can't tell the difference. So I don't like the term laid off because it's too open. But I can easily say, so what is our approach? Well, first of all, we're going to be very brief, right? We want to stay professional. So here's many different reasons why you could have left your life. And I just listed some of them, all right? Some of us are saying, the job became stagnant. There were not opportunities for me to move forward. I'm looking to grow. And so this is why I'm here with you today, because I can grow and I can, and do these, all right? If we just say merger, acquisition, we don't need to give any more information. Everybody knows what those are. Oh, got it. Understand. We don't have to tell the reasons for the merger, reason for all that, all the change. Management change, we went in a different direction, those things. So there's different end of contract, if you were doing a contract job right up. Maybe they wanted you to relocate, but no, I don't want to relocate. So that's all. But we want to give a response that says, well, I was very grateful. I enjoyed my time at the company. I love what I learned a lot. So I'm speaking positively about the company. All right. It says, and what I'm most proud of is, and here's an achievement I did. One of the most things I did is I turned a customer around that saved us $200,000 a year recurring revenue. Okay. And so here's why I want this job, and here's why I want this company. So I don't just stop with why I left. I move right into this. in the opening statement, I put that back in the opening statement. If you didn't use it there, you use it here. I said, I left my last job because of, here's why I want to work here, and here's why I want this job. And I put it very briefly. The reason I put those up there in the interview, in the opening statement, is because that saves a lot of time talking about stuff they're generally going to ask, and we can talk about other things the rest of the time. I've already given you that. Okay? Makes sense? No questions. I don't have another question to ask, all right? Strengths. So you get the strengths question. And here's a few of the different questions you see about strengths. But what can we learn about the strengths question? Well, here's lots of strengths. So do you have a list of your strengths? Do you have you have them somewhere that says, I can repeat them to you right away? I can tell you what they are, tell you what the most ones are. I got 5 or 6 that I can tell you. All right. Now, for those of you who are reading the list, do you see anything that is interesting to you? I'm not going to let you hunt it, but it's this one. And I said, where is that a positive attribute? So be careful when you search, because I did a search, here's the URL, went out and picked it, well, got a list of them. But I kind of used it and I looked at them and said, well, that's a good checklist. Let me see which ones fit me. Out of the 85, I fit 60. No, I didn't. But what are they? Well, you have to know what they are. So, because that's going to be the I am side of the things. So, what's the motive behind your strengths question? So, you're interviewing somebody, you want to know, why do you want to know their strengths? How best they can help out the group?
It's a culture question.
If you're answering online, give us a name and make your comment, please.
I'm sorry, this is Andre Stephen. It's a cultural question.
All right, a culture fit. They should hire you and not someone else, so they want to know your strengths. All right, it's a differentiator. Why hire you instead of someone else? All right. Well, it is a goodness of fit. It's a general goodness of fit, matching your performance and competence to the job. So if you are in auditing and you're not detail oriented, I got a problem. Okay. And so it kind of goes with that saying. But if you're in customer service and you're not customer focused, I have a problem. So I'm looking to see if those strengths match what I think you need to have in order to be successful in this role. So that's what I'm looking for. All right. So what's our approach? I'm just going to give the top 2, 3 relevant to the job, and I'm going to add the value. I'm going to sell I am and I help. All right. And so the response is, well, among others, I have, and you mentioned 2 or 3 strengths, very, very relevant to the job. And with those, I can achieve this kind of result. So with my customer focus, I can achieve having happy, referenceable customers for future sales, whatever it might be. So add I help to it. So the strength gives me the ability to achieve these kinds. So I sold I am and I help. So what 2 strengths would you say for me to be successful in this role? So if I haven't asked that question up front, the top 2 or 3 characteristics in the question at the end of the tell me about yourself, now's the time to ask, well, what strengths are you looking for? Which ones do you think are the most critical to be successful here in this role? So ask them what the target is. Weaknesses. Do you like the weakness question? Oh, there's some heads going, oh, Phil says, yeah, he likes it. You like to ask it, not to answer it. Okay. Shortcomings, mistakes, biggest failure, all these negative things. So what's the motive behind your weaknesses? Can you learn from your mistakes? Can you handle a question in a savvy manner? Are you willing to admit them? Do you know what they are? Now, Beth Galletti works, she's the talent, I can't remember her title, for Amazon. And she loves this question. Says, do they admit them? Do they know what they are? And what are they doing about them? You know, that was the motive that she said they had. All right. So do you match, you know, the competence to this job specifically? Same as the other strengths question, really. I want to see if you have, but am I willing to admit one? So I want to stay positive and I want to select a weakness that has little impact. I don't want to set something or a mistake that has little impact to the business. In the picture, we talk about the person who lost $20 million. So he answered, what mistake you made? I lost $20 million. Well, I don't think the job offer letter is going to be sent out to that person, all right? But I want to be open and honest. I'm going to tell you, okay? Anyway, so I want to be positive. So what are we doing about the weakness, or what did we do about the mistake? I'm going to talk a little bit more about negative questions in a second. So a possible question? No, I don't ask questions after weaknesses. No question after that. So I want to talk about staying positive for a moment. The strategy that we use for negative questions in general. So we want to tell the truth, but not the awful truth. We don't have to tell them everything, right? I want to pause even if I have an answer, because I don't want you to see that I can think of negative things just like that off the top of my head. It takes me a while to think of one, okay? So I give a short. It can be, I'll call it a NIT, which means little business impact. It can be far away. We can ignore recent. What was your recent mistake? Well, when I first started out as, and then I give them, I'll just ignore it, right? And I turn it into a positive. So what did I learn from my mistake? And what am I doing about my weakness? I'm still working. I'm a member of Toastmasters, and I continue to work on my presentation skills. And I do a lot of prepping and practicing before I give presentations. Ignore plural. Positive questions in the plural, yes. Negative questions in the plural, no. Give one. So I was in the workshop and we asked the question, you know, so tell me about your recent mistakes. He said, well, one was this and another was this and another was this. I said, whoa, time out. He said, well, you said, well, I'm answering the question. I'm being open and honest. I said, you want this job or not? I mean, you want to give them 5 reasons why not to hire you? Is that what you're doing? Okay. So that's kind of a structure for it. Likes and dislikes. Now, they're kind of similar, but we know what gives you the greatest satisfaction, what do you like best about the jobs you've had in the past? And what you not like about your job, your company, your boss. Oh, you want me to throw those 3 under the bus? You don't want to be negative about them? And if you could change something in your previous job, what would it be? So that's kind of disguised as what you not like about your last company. It's the very same. It's asking the same thing on it. So how do we handle those? So when we talk about the likes, we want to just say, well, here's 2 or 3 values and the results that they bring. All right, on the things that I like. So what do I enjoy doing? I enjoy communicating. I enjoy visiting the customers. I enjoy, what is it that you like? I enjoy presenting to senior management. What is it that's in this job that you enjoy doing? Sometimes in the picture, somebody's got 12 different things at the top of their resume. And I say, of those 12 things you listed, what do you enjoy the most? Sometimes I get something that's not even listed on the resume. But so you got to know but what are they? What are those things that you like doing? And they can turn right around on dislikes. So example, was nothing like turning around an unhappy customer. So I take a value and say, when we're not supplying the value, I don't like that. And so here's what I do about it. Does that make sense? So I just take a value and say, well, when we're not doing that value, rather than I don't like it when we're not communicating well. So I don't like it when we're not as effective as we could be in meetings. So what I do is, all right, and then you go through that, all right? Then you might say, well, since I talked about customers in my response, then I might say, well, tell me, what customer challenges are we facing today? What the motive behind the question is, do you really like your job? And if you like doing these other things that don't match what we do here, that's an elimination. So it can go either way. I like doing this. Well, this job doesn't call for you to do that, or not very much anyway. Let's go to the dislikes. So we want to pick one from our values and achievements list. And I don't like it when. I'm just talking about that. Then how would you rate your customer satisfaction levels if you chose a customer? Want to talk about money? You like your salary question? How many people love the salary question? Any people have some intrepidation about responding to the salary questions? A lot of times it's a knockout question. Okay, it comes early in the process. We mentioned a little bit about that. Andre, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question, but more of a comment. I mean, when somebody asks me about a salary or the compensation, before I even get into that, I want to know what the role's about, right? And does it fit the responsibilities in which I have to fill? So my question is it acceptable not to answer that question or redirect it in that sense or that way?
Andre, you're a mind reader. That's exactly what we're going to talk about. All right. I'm going to give you a little aside here. People wonder about putting a number on a job application. Now, a resume is not a legal document, but a job application is. And they'll ask you for a salary, and we want to play games with that number or whatever. And they know we're playing games, and so how do you really handle that? Well, my suggestion is put in a number, and then in any comment field, say this: all salary amounts reported on this application reflect my current salary target. Okay, so that's an option for you. Since it's now, if they ask what you were making, you don't have to answer that. You put this any comment space on that application. You can put that statement in it. All right, so that's an option for you. You can do some market research, salary.com, bls.gov, payscale.com. You can research the market range for the job, for the location, for the industry, right? Those are the three parameters. You can also Google what's the salary for this kind of job in this city and state, and it'll come up. When you look at numbers and ranges, find out how they're getting those numbers. If you got them from Indeed, and it was comments made by people on Indeed that said, this is what I was making, those are not verifiable. They can put anything in there. But when you go to salary.com and PayScale, that is company provided data on those numbers. And so I have more faith in those numbers than I do in what people say. Now, I can still use Indeed and the other job boards for some potential use. Some jobs are posted and they have a salary range in them. Okay. It's very interesting when you look at some salary ranges, particularly in the government fields, and you see a senior director. I've seen $100,000 difference in the range. Very, very wide. So often when they post a range, it's very wide. And then they have a disclaimer. It depends on A, B, C, D, E, where you live, et cetera, et cetera. All right. But they give you something, to start with. So research that. Know that before you go in. Patricia.
Well, I just wanted to note that it's going to be different depending on the number, especially the number of employees that you're supporting and the industry. Like if it's nonprofit, it's going to be lower. And I mean, you know this, but some of the folks on the call may not. So it's going to vary a little bit.
Yes. And some of the companies that are not public, you don't know, you can't find out some of the details that you'd like to know about the company as well. Phil.
I'm interested in hearing a little bit more about the statement that you were talking about putting on an application, 1 or 2 slides back. Can you go back to that, please?
It clicker won't go backwards.
Now, we only want to move forward, right? That's not the one where you, yeah, that's it. Is there a blank that is next to most common application salary spaces for salary history? I don't remember ever having seen a
No,
post
it may not
make
be.
a statement.
It may not be there. It may be a comment space anywhere on the application.
Okay, that said, if we're looking at an application, the kind that I'm accustomed to, probably a lot of us have seen the same thing. Salary history, one line for I made this at the start and end of my employment with X, and then the same thing for Y.
Okay, those are options, and we're going to talk about options and what you might want to say there. Okay, I mean, if you want to give a history, I mean, you can say what you want in there.
Right.
But I want to give you options, and that'll help you determine what you're going to put on the application as well.
Okay, this sounds to me like a lawyer came up with it. You said it's a legal document.
Yes, the application is a legal document.
Okay.
I don't,
All right.
what do we do with the question on the application about our salary?
Right.
And so, I'm going to put $1 in there. They force me to put something in there. I can't submit unless I put, I'm going to put something in there. So, and we play games. So what can we do as an alternative not to play games? One of our options is to put that statement in there, and then you can put a desired salary up there.
Instead of the actual historical salary that you made it.
It's not a historical. This statement says current salary target. This is what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go on with it. Maybe I can help you with some of that. So let me talk about, what were you making? What are your requirements? What are your minimum? I like the question, the response to what is your minimum? Says, I don't know. What's the minimum amount of work I got to do around here? But some companies don't have the money. The smaller companies don't have the budget that some of the larger companies have. Okay. And so they ask minimum. And the motive, behind that is like, we can't pay you very much. Is this okay with you? Well, it might be, because there might be other parameters that make this job a good fit besides the salary. Okay. All right. So remember who's asking and where we are in responding to this. That's pretty important about that. So the motive. Why do they ask us salary questions? Can they afford us? Qualifier. Early on, it's an elimination question. Okay, so up front, it's purely eliminate. It's the only reason. I can't think of another one, right? And so, can they afford us? Can they lowball us? I want to get some idea. There's this phrase that says, "He who mentions salary first loses." So my question is what do we lose? And generally, there's a long pause before someone answers. Right, negotiating power. That's why we started negotiations right now. And this, so it may be acceptable to us, but you know what? We could have maybe made 10,000 more if we didn't give them this number. Oh, great! This is great because you're 50,000 under the range. All right. See the approach. If we have two choices, we can respond or repel. We can tell them a number, or we can try not to tell them a number. So somebody asks the question, is it okay not to answer this? And so this is going to cover that.
A really good recruiter I had in my past, she had told me the best way to answer that without giving them a number. And I've used it, so I'm curious what you think about it. But my response was, I'm open and flexible, and I trust that you will give me a fair offer.
That's an option. That's an option.
That sounded like a good answer.
Well, what's the objective of us? What are we trying to do with a salary question?
Well, I don't want them to rule me out because they think they can't meet that expectation.
You don't want to be ruled out.
Yeah, and I have been before.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what my objective for the salary question is: to keep the process going. So you're saying not to be ruled out, but to keep going. Don't let this be a showstopper question. All right. So our attempts are to say, how can we not let this be the reason we stop the interview, we stop the recruiting process, or they see us as a negative, and so they politely let us finish the interview and we never hear anything. John in the back.
Because I had a situation where I had gone in for an interview, and it was kind of initial. So the initial interview was with the HR recruiter, and then I was going to move on to speak with the hiring manager like same day, right? And she asked me the salary question. You know, we were in some little conference room or something, and I gave some evasive answer like it depends. You know, I want to, and she literally said, "Well, we're not going any further until you give me a number. Like either we're going to leave the room and you're going to go home, or we're going to leave the room and you're going to go interview." But yeah, so sometimes often they will put their foot down.
Yes.
They want
Yeah.
some kind of a number.
So Satin, I see your hand. Let me finish this slide and then let you ask your question. Is that okay?
Oh, I didn't have a question. I was just commenting on the salary part.
Okay. What was your comment?
Oh, I was just going to say that when I've been asked that question, usually what I do is, in order for me to avoid giving an answer right away, I ask what the range is for the position. I'll usually say, "Can you share the range for this position?" And I'll usually target the higher end or middle, depending on what is suitable. But that
Okay.
way, they're giving you something to work with.
Well, let's talk about this because I'm going to give you some options here. You've got two options: tell them or don't tell them. All right. One's called responding and nailing. I'm going to define nailing in a little bit. Or we can repel and nail. All right. So a response. One option. Based upon what I know now, which may be very little, I would expect something in the range of X to Y. Okay. That's one option. You can just give them a range. You can say, okay, I'm looking at X to Y. But if it's early, you say, I don't know enough to answer this question, but you're forcing me to answer it. So I'm going to go ahead and answer it. Well, based upon what I know now, this is what it is. And we're not through with that one because we get to the question part on both of these. So, and repelling. Whenever we don't want to answer a question, we want to redirect, we acknowledge the question. If you don't acknowledge the question and just say, I want to know the range, I'm just ignore what your question. That's okay. And so would it be all right with you? I'll be glad to answer that. I'll tell you that. All right. In other words, I'm not ignoring it. I will come back and answer it if you want to. But would it be all right with you if we discussed it? Someone was talking about responsibilities, authority, level, expectations, visibility, success measure, all these different things that you're looking at that value a job. And so if I can determine what value to you, my value is to you, I can answer how much that's worth to both of us. All right. So I'd like to be able to do that, but it's very difficult to do up front. And in either case, we say, but I am interested. What is your range? So that's called nailing. So if they say, no, I want to know now, we're back to respond. And then we respond. But we come back and say, but I'm interested. What is your range? Now, sometimes they have a range in there. So, well, I see that you have a range on the job description of that. And so tell me, can you narrow that down some for me? I mean, because sometimes it's pretty wide. You can ask for something. But yeah, ask them for their range or their budget. Okay. You can ask them for that, but give them a reason not to answer. Don't just ignore the question. Say, well, I'll be glad to answer that. Would it be all right with you if we talked about these things first? If they say no, we have told them how we are going to measure our value in this role. And when I get to the end, all things are off the table. Man, I can change anything at the end. In fact, some have said, you know what? I got to go change the job title. I got to go get more money. Hang on. You're worth more than what we have in this range for this job, whether it's published or unpublished. So we go for the value. I want to sell you my value. I want to keep, I'd like to have the opportunity to do that. I want to keep going and do that so that you can see what I'm worth. And some of our questions say, well, what do you think? Oh, we haven't thought about that. We need to do that. One interviewer asked several questions to the hiring manager, and he couldn't answer them. And he should have been able to answer them. And so that was a big red flag. And so that interviewer said, can I have your list of questions? He said, sure, right after you hire me. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. This is intellectual property. This is my stuff. I'm not going to give it to you. I'm not going to use you as I'm going to interview a candidate and find out how to do it and then tell them no, and then we'll go back and do it. Right? All right. Early on is elimination. So Wendell, when you're making in your last job, I would like to move them to the requirements rather than the last job. I would love to tell them it's irrelevant, different job, different role, different responsibilities, same title, but the level of authority, number of people, all that stuff is different from that job to this job. But it's not a very good approach to say it's irrelevant. Okay, we can't tell them it doesn't really mean. So, but what about with you? If we talk about this role, this job, so I do the same thing as if I'm trying to repel. So I'll be glad to answer that question. What about with you? We talked about this role and that sort of thing. Okay. Anything else, Sapna? Your hand's still raised, or you can lower your hand, if you would, please. Now, I also have an offer evaluation template. This is just an aside. It's a file that I'm going to give you. It's an Excel spreadsheet if you like Excel and you're analytical. And down the left, it gives you all these different things that you can look at for a job that are a benefit to you. Benefits, paid time, all this stuff. You can rank them. And then it's got some information on the right to talk about them so that you can look at that and say, you can actually compare what my current job did and here's what the new job does. And I can monetize some of these things so I can help determine the value. What I'm suggesting that you do is figure this out before the interview. Don't wait until the offer then to say, now let me consider this. So look at and decide, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want. This is what I would like to have. This is my target. So that when negotiation time comes up or the offer comes up, I don't have to worry. I've got all the things I'm going to compare it to. And I'm ready to go with that because they'll take 6 months to hire us and they give us 24 hours to answer the offer. All right. Overqualified. Anybody get the overqualified question? Got some nodding here. All right. Aren't you think you're overqualified? Aren't you? Why are you interested in lower level? Why would you, take this position? It has less scope and responsibility. Overqualified. This is a showstopper question. We better really understand this one. What's the motive for overqualified? Why are they asking us? Can we keep a fast pace? How about working for somebody that's younger? Pay is too high. I mean, maybe you want, you're worth a lot more, so we don't pay that much. You're not interested in long-term employment. You're a short timer, basically, the fixed mindset. So basically, it's a risk. Interviewing is a risk assessment. The interviewers are calculating the risk in hiring you. And if they see it's risky, they will not hire us. So that's all part of the plan. It's all part of what they do. So there's a concern there. And it's very interesting because I asked this question in the workshop. Guess what my typical answer is when I respond? Anybody have an idea? Tim? You agree we are qualified? That's not the typical answer, but that is a good part. Don't you think you're overqualified? No, I don't. I'm well qualified for this position. I can hit the ground running. I have all these skills, all these abilities. I can do things. And the interviewer says, I know that. That's what concerns me. And all we did was argue with them and disagree with them, say, no, you're wrong. And we've confirmed we're overqualified. That's a typical response. That's because we are thinking about us. We're not thinking about them. We're not looking at their perspective in why they answer that question. All right. So first, target your position and company right. If you're going to go into a nonprofit, someone was talking about, salaries are lower in nonprofits. They want to work for a nonprofit. All right. Then don't expect perhaps, a higher range than you might normally get outside in the commercial marketplace. Second, then you agree with them. So, okay, then you agree that I'm qualified. This is a technique to move them from the negative to the positive. Well, duh. Yes, I agree. Yes. Yes. Yeah, certainly you're qualified. So you get them into a nodding and say, yes, thank you. You say, okay. Strategy here is to say, look, this is the job I want, and this is where I want to work. And if you convince me of that, and you're energized and saying, I love doing this, you have reduced the risk of hiring because this is what you really want to do. So tell them that. This is the job. This is it. And this is the company. I love your product, service, whatever. By the way, up in the opening statement, I said, this is the job I want. This is where I want to work and why. I'm already talking about being overqualified in the opening statement. I'm already defending it and telling them, say, hey, this is the job I'm really interested in. Okay. Now there's a closing statement. It directly answers the most often motive. I'd never take a position where I'm not fully committed. In other words, I'm not a short timer, which is the most popular motive behind it. Okay. Oh, star stories. We got to talk about behavioral event interviewing. Andre, you want to ask a question before I go on?
I think you answered my question in a way where you can actually turn the tables on them, and not in a negative mode or a negative way, but you can say, what is it about my background that makes me overqualified?
Why do we want them to give us a list?
So you can answer it. But, again, I think you answered my question.
Yeah. Well, if you ask them to give us a list, now we're talking negatively and they're giving us all the reasons. All right.
Sorry.
Yeah. I suggest we kind of eliminate that, eliminate that option. Okay. All right. Behavioral event interviewing. Past performance predicts future behavior. This is where you go in. Now, I'm going to go back to overqualified in a second. This is saying, look, I've done this before. I can do it here. That's the whole idea about behavioral interviewing. Tell me about a time when, give me an example of, something that's, listed on the job description. Could be a question or whatever they want to ask. Okay. And so there's also an overqualified good that says, and you might mention this in answering an overqualified question. It's a little risky to do this, but it's an option. And that is to say, if you hire somebody who's at the level that you're looking for, as opposed to me, which is at a different level of background and experience, I can bring the team and the unit and the company up. The current manager just keeps the same thing going from day to day. There's no increase. They learn slower, they learn harder. I would like to be a part of it that increases the productivity, increases, and so you can tell them you want me to be there because I know how to get to the next level of. All right. So that's just an option you might want to tell them. All right. That's overqualified, right? Okay. Behavioral event interviewing, competency based. So there's lots of list of competencies out there, and we can do assessments, we can do information. And here is a particular document that has 34 different competencies and different questions that they might ask in a behavioral event interview. So I have a document, and they'll take each one of those and say, well, look at these questions. So if you look and you say, okay, I'm good with integrity. So here's questions they might ask me on integrity, and that document will list several questions that you might get in an interview to talk about that particular competency. So that's a document I give out. And you can use AI. You go out there and check. And there's a lot of information out there. You have to always validate and verify everything, but that's out there. Match them with the job description. What are they looking for? Are they looking for analytical? I mean, if you're an analytics person, okay, what are you? How about approachability? Latoya that I interviewed Wednesday in the pit crew very friendly, very approachable, very nice, smiling, thoughtful, considerate. A person who says, I'd like to work with you. I mean, she sold that right away. And she didn't tell us that. She just showed it. And that's what really happens. We demonstrate these more than we tell them those. We show how we work. We show our soft skills. We show her that. All right. So, for example, in that document, here's leadership, and here's a list of questions. I don't want you to read these, but just give you an example for each one of those. They give you a list of potential questions that you might get. All right. Who is not familiar with star stories? I mean, I think we kind of beat them to death, but we need to beat them to death because they're extremely critical. They're very important. Star stories. So the situation, and here's how I suggest you save time and how you begin to introduce the content. When I have people tell me, but I don't know their title, which gives me some indication of their level of responsibility, authority, et cetera. If you don't give me a title, I don't know whether you're the team member, the team leader. I need something to give me some background on your level of responsibility. You can mention a company or not. If it's a great company, I used to work for EDS. I worked for them for 25 years. They're not EDS anymore. That changed 25 years ago. But there were people say, oh, you work for EDS? I want to get a job there. I want my son to get a job there. We were very well known and very positive. And people were really loving to get it because of the reputation. And some companies say, hey, you go get a job with EDS, go to their training school, quit and come back and I'll hire you. All right. So we had to implement some things to stop that from happening. But it was a well-known company. So you used to work for EDS? Today, that doesn't mean anything. All right. Nobody knows what that company hardly was. It's too long ago. So what was the task? One sentence. When I was selling services to colleges and universities, I had as a interview success, that's not the current job, as a account success relationship manager, that kind of time, I had a CIO accuse me of bait and switch on a proposal. I just said the situation and task in one sentence. That's where we can be brief because we want to spend more time on the next step, which is the actions, the steps we took. So what I did was high level. Here's I did A, then I did B, then I did C, then I did, very high level. Brevity is going to be important. If you get too detailed in this, we'll lose them. Let them ask for more detail. And then as a result, this happened. So, and as a result, and in that we can give money, we can give numbers. These are written in the order of value. Dollars get people's attention more than anything else. I saved this amount of money, I increased this much revenue, whatever. And then numbers. I reduced the time from 3 weeks to 4 days. All right. What's the value of 3 weeks to 4 days? That you can actually monetize that with a little work. You can put something on there and say, well, let's see, 10 people, 3 weeks, average salary, 25% benefit, and I saved $40,000. And I came up with a way of saying, how that actually saved money, even though I'm not, been particularly able to see what that was. And nobody told me that. I just kind of figured it out, estimated it. And then there's value. There's just, providing a particular customer service. And we got 3 referrals for $200,000 more worth of services. So the referral is a value, and then the value has even a number to it. Okay. We underestimate the value of what we do. Project managers, and we complete the project on time, within scope, on budget. Hallelujah. Let me get you an offer letter out. Right. Well, every project manager does that. I want to know what the results of the project was. Why'd you do it in the first place? What was, give me the story about it. Okay. Sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't, and I can't figure out why. I have a backup plan. So why are star stories so critical in an interview? Number one, listening and intention increases when somebody says, when they want to tell us. Now, some people say, do the RATS formula, do the results first, and the star story. I'll give you options on that. If they're not asking to tell us star stories, in a particular area, we answer and say, would you like me to tell you about a time when and give an R? Because we want to tell stories. But don't just tell them, ask permission to tell them. Don't ever show that we're taking over the interview. So I asked me, I can tell you about that if it's so they can say yes or no. All right. But when they ask us, tell me about a time when, and we're going to tell them a story, attention and interest goes up. And if you're going to tell me a story, I want to know the story. I want to know what happened. I want to know what, so what'd you do about that CIO that accused you of bait and switch? He copied that to all the university staff. And so the president on down, everybody got a copy of that. And I said, that rascal threw me under the bus. Oh, well, I couldn't say that. But wouldn't you know, what did I do about that? Would you like to know how I handled that situation? All right. Oh, that happened. What'd you do? All right. And so I'm very interested in it. Secondly, we get identification in the story. The listener puts themselves into my position and lives that experience with us. There's a Mission Impossible movie where who's the actor? Tom Cruise is hanging out of a window in Dubai on this hotel. I guess he's up 1,000 feet. And I'm sitting in a lazy boy and my hands are clenched. Heights and me are not friends. And so I'm just like sitting here in my lazy boy, but I'm emotionally attached to what's going on. Same thing happens in a star story. They live it through us. They get emotionally attached with us. So they identify it and they live it through this. So empathy then is created between you and me, or the interviewer and me. That leads to an emotional connection. And the emotional connection builds rapport. And everybody also wants to know, well, what happened? What'd you do? So if you give the R first just to get them to tell a story, that's good. Some people say, you should start with it all the time. And I say, well, I give you options. All right. But certainly use it when you're not getting to tell them. So would you like me to tell you about one and give them that R? So that's what's so significant. They will remember that. We remember emotional connections more than dollars and cents and facts connections, right? More important. And they remember the stories. They won't remember all the things we said. They won't remember all the values we might have brought. They won't have all of those, but they will remember the story. It's very, very important. So we want to tell them when we can. So I suggest you take your resume and your job description and you put them in a table. And on the item is every requirement in the job description. You start with your resume, put it in a table. Now, for those of you that don't like tables and analytics, you're not going to do this. This is not fun for you. But you got to do it some way. You got to go through the job description. So I got to answer every requirement in that job description. I got to know something about it. So I just, okay. So suppose one of them is really is an I'm client value driven. All right. So what's my experience and results with that? What's the value add that I did with that? And is there a star story connected to that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 requirements might be demonstrated in one story. You don't have to have one story for every requirement in the job description. And the numbers that you can move from your resume to the job description tell you how much of a fit you have. And it also identifies gaps. We're looking for 400 years experience. You only have 100. So how are we going to handle that, right? So we want to then ask questions during the interview. We're going to be evaluated by our questions. What questions? Do you have a list of prioritized questions of what you need to know in order to go to work there, just like they're doing for us? And what's most important to you? Because you won't get to ask them all. But what are the ones that are critical for you to find out through the interview process? Okay, I say 50% mixed on job, culture, leadership, and then 50% on the company and industry competition. And somebody said, Walt, no, that's a 20-80. Okay, 20-80. I mean, I'm just giving you some suggestions to mix them between the two. And sometimes they will drive it more than we can drive it. But we want to find out, how important is culture? A culture match. I can do the job. I can achieve these results. It's a terrible place to work. not a fit. So culture, but so describe your culture. Do you have, this is what I like in a culture. This is what I expect my leadership to do. This is what I expect, here's what I'm looking for. And that's my ideal. So then I can generate some questions according to that. So some of our questions ought to be culture questions, right? Describe a team meeting. So I'm talking to the leader of the team. I'm finding out some leadership characteristics through that question. All right. I have a whole nother presentation on vetting company values just on the culture side of things. All right. I gave you another document. There's plenty of documents and things out there. This was pretty interesting because they broke them into these categories. So here's questions for headhunters and recruiters. So these are questions that candidates may ask. So this is our list of questions, and they broke them into these categories. That's kind of interesting. You can always look. Part of the things I do in preparing for a pit crew interview, for example, is I throw the job description in there and say, name 25 questions, put them in categories of importance. And then I look at them, I say, I don't like any of them. I'm going to just ask my own. There may have one or two that come, because I go through and I look at the job description. It says, you need to do this. Okay, tell me about a time when you did that, and I just pull out questions right off the job description. Then I pull off questions right off the resume. Okay. And then I have my own general questions that I ask. Why'd you leave your last job, for example? That doesn't show up necessarily on a resume, right? But anyway, I'm going to give you that document as well. The close is extremely critical. It's the biggest weakness we have. And so I have a 6-step method for the close that I suggest. The first one is to show interest. Now, at the end of an interview, this generally goes, do you have any questions for us? And we might have a few questions, but sometimes if we waited till the end to ask our questions, I'm sorry, the interview's over. So better ask them during the interview as much as I can. Some people ask, I say to me, say, is it okay if I ask questions? I say, just ask them. And if they don't want to answer them, they won't. Don't give them the options. No. You can do that if you want at the beginning of the interview. But we're going to show. So, this has been great. Great conversation with you today. This looks exciting to me. I can't wait, to get started. Very interested in this role. Let me tell you this. You've talked today. You need somebody who can help you do A, B, C, D. You like the tires. You like the steering wheel. You like the radio. You like, whatever it is. I am telling you the value I bring and why you should hire me in my little summary here at the end of the interview. I'm telling you why you should buy me. And I'm bringing that forth based on our conversation and discussion we have. Some of it may not have been discussed, but you want to add it here because it's still critical and important to this particular role. We can try a trial close. It's kind of like, how am I doing? And there's different ways you can use the questions for the trial close in different ways. You can ask it depending on who you're talking to. You're talking to a team or talking to a hiring manager, you're talking to HR. So you give a trial close. An example or two that is like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would I compare to the top candidate? Now, an analytical person loves that kind of question. They like numbers. They won't say it. They might not even answer us. Another one is, how do I compare to the ideal candidate? Just don't ask a number. How would you compare me to the top, to the ideal, to the perfect person? Please do not ask, how do I compare with other people? It will not tell you anything. Yeah, you compare very well. Okay. Does that mean you're going to get? No, we don't know. We don't know. It doesn't tell us anything. So you can look at different questions for that and see how you might ask those. But I'd like us to learn and update the hiring process. This starts on initial contact and gets updated throughout. Here's things we want to know. What do you do to get on board here? How is it done? Who's involved? So here's a bunch of bullets. What's your hiring process? You can ask a recruiter that who's sending you to a firm. Well, what's their hiring process? How do they do that? How many candidates are they going to interview? How many interviews will I have? Okay. And who will I be interviewing with? What's your interviewing style? We use behavioral event interviewing. We use storytelling. You got to do that, or whatever style they might use. All right. Who makes the decision? Sometimes HR makes the hiring decision, not the hiring manager. Who makes the hiring? Who determines salary? Is that the manager? Is that who does that? All right. when should when are you planning to make a decision on your hire and what's your expected start date? And I can tell you from day one, what are the odds you think they're going to make those dates? Low. Hiring is the most dysfunctional process in business today. That's the bad news. But we face challenges and problems before like that in our job. Oh, okay, we just start removing this barrier. That's what we do. That's how we are in charge of the job search, not them. So to talk with them and say, oh, I hope they call me. Well, I'm going to give you an idea how we might change that. Next steps. So next steps, this is kind of like an update and what's going on and what's the very next thing that happened. And so here's what I suggest we can ask them. When will I hear back from someone as a result of this interview? Who will it be? When should I expect to hear from you? How should I contact you? Right? I want to get that contact. I want to say, okay, so I should hear from you by next Friday. I don't like the word next Friday because I mean the very next one, and everybody else means 2 Fridays from now, depending on how close. So I like a date. Get a date. What date? All right. And if I don't hear from you by that date, may I give you a call? No, just a minute. Well, ask for the call, not for the email. Calling's better than email. Face to face is best. Call, in person is best. Zoom, face to face. It goes down that chain. But all right. Now, because I say, I don't know when to contact them you back. I said, why don't you ask them? Simply ask them. It's okay. So what am I going to hear back? Who shall I hear back from? When shall I hear back? Okay. And then I like to say, okay, can I contact you? How do I contact in case I have questions? All right. Because guess what? We'll leave there and say, oh, there's some more things I'd like to figure out and find out about, and I have some more questions. So who's that person and how do I contact them? So if you go back and you call them and say, I didn't hear from you. So you call them and you get a voicemail and say, hi, this is Walt. I really enjoyed our interview with you, last, whatever it was. You indicated that I could give you a call today if I hadn't heard from you. So I just want to let you know I'm really excited about the role of the job, still interested in the position and everything. And so if I don't hear from you by tomorrow at 2:00, I'm going to call you again. Don't give them a week. Tomorrow. Do that 5 times. The 5th time you say, okay, this is the last time I'm going to contact you. I just want you to let you know I'm still excited about the role of the job. Would love to work there. If you're on the list, they're going to call you. If you're not, you won't hear anything from them. On you go to the next spot. Okay? Next steps. And then the farewell. So one person went through a series of interviews with the CEO being the last interview. We call it, like the blessing interview. So went through all in one day. 2 interviews in the morning. They interviewed her at lunch, 2 interviews in the afternoon, and then going to see the CEO at 4:00. She walked into the office and said, hi, it's great to meet you. I'm excited to meet you. I'm having a great time with it. He said, you're hired. She said, what? He says, when you walk in the office going through all the process you have done today with that energy, enthusiasm, and smile on your face, that's all I need to know. So while that interview process is tiring, we again, put it on, turn it up, okay? They don't expect them to do something like that, but they expect us to be able to do something like that, okay? So that's it. Yes, you will sleep well that night because you're tired. You're mentally gone through it, all right? So how do we gain those interview confidence and skills and what happens? So here's where we are. Here's our interviewing skills today. We're at current status. And we've made a change. Guess what? We lost our job. I got to get my interviewing skills back up to speed. It's been a while, so I better change that. And so that change occurs, and guess what? Things go down. Our attitude, our energy, our emotional effort, everything, it just kind of goes down. I don't really like to work on job search. I don't like this. I have a hard time, and blah, blah, blah. All negative, all right? All that, goes through our minds. However, at some point in time, we say, I got to get up and do some work. Who was it this morning said, I can either drive spikes in my eyes today or I can get up and do something, So what it is. So let's start changing. Let's start moving forward, i.e. practice. That's where we start moving forward. All right, start our preparation, start our practice. And then we'll gain a new status. We'll have increased skills, confidence, and stuff in doing the interview, all right? That's called the valley of despair. and we want to get out of the valley of despair. So for us, as if we're because we're our own managers now, we're our own boss, we're our own company, we're marketing, we're sales, we're everything. All right. We've got to do something about that. And so number one is I want to improve my status. I want to do better. I want to get skills and confidence with that. So that's our first objective. The second one is I don't want this to go too deep. I don't want it to spiral down. I don't want to get depression. I don't want to get very negative about things. Okay. So I got to not let it be negative for a long time. I've got to get out of that mode. Now, we're going to feel emotionally negative and upset about some things, but all we have to do is say, okay, 1 o'clock, I can't be this anymore. I'm going to change. I'm going to allow myself to do this, but then I'm going to quit and I'm not going to do it. So I lost my wife 10 years ago. 6 months, terrible, just terrible. And I looked at my phone and her picture was on my phone, but it wasn't on there for long. It'd go black. I say, she's gone. It's over. I got to get a move on. So every time I saw her picture go black, I said, time to get a move on, time to let go, time to move on. It took me a while, to do that. But that's what we want to do. I could have shortened it probably. Objective number 3 is not to let it take so dadgum long. I can't wait. I can't learn this. You can learn job search in 6 months. You can learn it in a month. So you go to these different groups. You kind of find out what you do, prioritize your stuff so that I can do it quicker. And every group is the objective is to shorten your job search, give you tools, skills, ideas, things that you can process, actions, you can take everything to do that. And so so we look at our change curve, realizing that things are down, realizing we got to move up, finding out and doing the things we need to do to get up to the new level. Okay. So if you're interested in attending and participating in the Interview Success Workshop, there's a QR code. There's an email that it starts out to me on my Yahoo address. Be glad to have you participate. Questions? What time is it? Time to quit.
Questions?
If you want to talk to me about anything, my phone number is on my LinkedIn banner. Do y'all have some questions? I'd like to find out something. We're really out of time. I'm going over about 10 minutes. Okay, Tim.
Before I interview with a company, I like to do a little bit of study of the company.
Right.
What years ago I was told, well, you need to read the annual report, and that to me took a lot of time and a lot of information to sift through. Now all I do is find 5 things. I'm wondering if my approach is right. Those 5 things are the principal mission of the company, whether or not it's a Fortune 500 company, the name of the CEO, the employee count, and the stock, the owner's equity. Like, is it a $10 billion company or a $100,000 company? What do you think of my approach? Thank you very much.
Okay, you need to have some objectives and some goals in your research and what you want to do. If we can blow them away with our company knowledge, we stand out way above. Jared Asplin, do you remember Jared? Years ago, he came through the pit crew about 6 or 7 times.
I do.
He got a job at Lockheed. And they said, we didn't hire you because you were the best candidate. We hired you for your company knowledge. His banner page was a big jet plane in the background. He's excited about it. He could just go on and on about the company. So, okay, he's a buyer. Well, we had other people that were more qualified with buyers, but that wasn't as important as this. And you can pick up the buyer side. We would more wanted you for this. And so that was the reason, the company knowledge. Ask AI. I'm interviewing this company. What should I learn and know about this company? And highlight it for me to the important areas. And they'll come back and say, well, what's their financial strength? Who's the leadership? What are their, and it'll give you some ideas and things like that to look. And then you can, and maybe get some of that information. But yeah, company knowledge, if all we know is what's on the web page, that's not impress anybody. Oh, you read the web page? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know the 14 or is now 16 principles of leadership with Amazon? Do you know which ones are probably critical in this role? I love your 16 principles. I noticed that you added the last 2 that were focused on the employee, where the first 14 are part of the customer focus. And you looked up their leadership, they're very heavy. Everybody in the company has these leadership principles. That's kind of like their culture. So if you walk in, they tell you on their webpage, if you don't know about our leadership principles, do not apply. All right. Somebody else had a question, but I think we're done.
All right, Walt, thank you very much. Lots of information. If you want Walt's presentation, make sure that you've signed in here or make sure online that you give us your email address so I can get this out to you tomorrow. Next Friday, we're going to have open forums, the first Friday of the month. Hard to believe June's here already, but we'll answer whatever questions you have about your job search. So prepare them. This video will get uploaded to the Career USA YouTube channel. Every video that I post goes into one of 7 different playlists. Click on playlist and then down the very lower left-hand corner where it says view full playlist. Click on that and up will come a list of all the speakers we've had at the North Dallas group. Just remember the speakers start about 30 minutes into the videos. Next Tuesday for LinkedIn Tuesday, Kurt Vandermatter will be with us to talk about LinkedIn from a recruiter's eye. I guess we'll find out if Kurt's got reestablished by LinkedIn. He got banned because he stopped his credit card. LinkedIn charged him $6,000 on his credit card. He called up the credit card company and said no. LinkedIn then turned off his account. So he's been battling for the last 3 weeks to get back onto LinkedIn. So, oh, he's on. Okay. So he got back in. Very good. When he was on last couple weeks ago with us, we had 2 people on the call who said, oh, my daughter works at LinkedIn. So maybe we got a connection through there. So be interesting to hear his story on Tuesday. Next Wednesday, the Practice MDU team will be meeting in person right here from 1 to 3 o'clock. And then next Friday, we'll be doing open forum. Today, we're going to go to Mama's Pizza. How many people think they will join us? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So whoever gets here first, grab a table for about 6 people. That'd be great. Just a reminder, the church is closed during the summertime. So if you want to get in, please be here from 9:50, be here after 9:15, and we'll have somebody down the front door from 9:15 to 9:40. Anthony, thank you for being there this morning. And thank you for joining us, everybody. We'll see you all next week. Have a good weekend.